April 3, 1945. Above the Ruhr Valley, 22,000 feet. The sun, pale and feeble, struggles through a thick grey canopy. It flickers against jagged columns of smoke rising from the ruined factories below, casting everything in sharp, fleeting shadows. You can almost taste the iron in the air, mixed with the acrid stench of burnt oil and charred metal. The wind cuts through the cockpit like a blade, freezing exposed skin and rattling the edges of Bracknell's oxygen mask. Each breath is shallow, tight, as though the thin air itself is fighting to get in. F.O. David Bracknell grips the throttle of his P-51 Mustang with gloved hands. His knuckles are white, but his movements are precise. Every switch, every gauge, every flicker of the instrument panel holds meaning. Outside, the sky is alive with threats. Not just the obvious, the silhouette of a German Me-262 glinting against the clouds, its twin jets humming like distant hornets, but the invisible ones too, radar beams, flak batteries, scattered patrols hunting for any sign of life in the sky. One wrong move, one twitch, and the thin line between hunter and hunted could snap. Bracknell peers ahead. Beyond the grey curls of cloud, rooftops are shattered, factories leveled to their skeletons, rivers blackened with debris. The valley stretches like a charred map of Europe, lifeless yet vibrating with the ghostly remnants of industrial might. Smoke coils from railway yards, drifting lazily toward the sky, mingling with clouds and haze. It is beautiful, it is terrifying, and it is alive. Then he sees it, the Me-262, slicing through the sky with the lethal elegance only a jet can possess. Its engines blaze, a mechanical roar barely audible over the wind yet unmistakable. Fast, faster than anything he has flown, yet here it is, cruising ahead, almost unaware. The radar officer at the controls scans with clinical detachment, unaware that a Mustang trails him like a shadow, silent, ghostly, invisible. Bracknell's mind sharpens. He knows the danger, the impossible odds. To challenge a jet with a piston-engine fighter is to flirt with death, but this is no ordinary engagement. He adjusts his grip, leans slightly forward in the cockpit, and makes the decision that will define this flight. He kills his throttle. Silence. Not the silence of peace, but the tense, electric silence of a predator gliding. The Mustang responds instantly, tilting and adjusting as gravity and wind take over. He feels the controls, the way the aluminum skin vibrates against the rushing air, the subtle tug of currents moving through the stratosphere. Every inch of the plane becomes an extension of his body, every micro-adjustment deliberate, precise. The radar officer's fingers flick across dials, eyes narrowing as he scans the sky. Nothing, not a shadow, not a hint of the Mustang coasting silently behind him. Bracknell drifts closer, synchronizing with the jet's speed, anticipating every motion. The Me-262 tilts slightly, banking, a slight miscalculation, or maybe chance. Either way, the opening appears. Below, the Ruhr continues in ruin, indifferent. Factories smolder, rivers reflect the dying sunlight, and scattered fires flicker like embers in a fireplace too large to control. Yet above it all, time narrows. Bracknell focuses. He can feel his heartbeat in his ears, steady yet hammering with anticipation. Every second stretches into eternity, every minor motion critical. He inches closer, just a few yards. He matches the jet glide perfectly. The air around him is alive, filled with turbulence with unseen currents. He compensates, tilts the Mustang subtly, drifts slightly to the left, then right. The radar officer is unaware. Bracknell's breath is measured, controlled, hiding the flood of adrenaline inside. One misstep and the Mustang is nothing but wreckage against the hard metal of a faster plane. And then the moment, a microsecond of vulnerability. The Me-262 exposes its side just slightly. Bracknell's hand finds the trigger instinctively, and tracers leap from the Mustang's wings. Sparks bloom against the fuselage of the jet, cutting lines of fire through the grey sky. The radar officer flinches, startled, alarms too late. The Me-262 shudders violently. Bracknell eases the Mustang back into the glide, vanishing into the clouds as though he was never there. Silent, invisible. For a heartbeat, the world seems suspended. Did it really happen? Was it perfect? Or just luck, fleeting, impossible? Below, the Ruhr burns on, fires flare and fade, oblivious to the impossible act above. Yet Bracknell knows the truth. He has done what no pilot has done before. He has become a ghost in the sky. But the tension is far from over. He banks gently toward Allied lines. The ruined valley recedes beneath him, smoke curling, rivers reflecting the dying light. Ahead, another flash of metal in the clouds. A jet, or a trick of light, seconds stretch. The Mustang moves through the air like a shadow, anticipating, calculating, ready to vanish at the first sign of danger. The air grows thick with uncertainty. Flak bursts below, black clouds erupting against twilight, reminding Bracknell that this sky is not his alone. He adjusts the glide, throttled back to nothing, silent, invisible. The Mustang feels like a living thing beneath him, coiling, stretching, responding instantly to his touch. Hours or maybe minutes pass in tense, blurred time. Every flicker of light, every vibration, every movement in the clouds is a potential threat. Yet within the tension, a strange clarity emerges. He is alive. He is unseen. He has done the impossible. Through a break in the clouds, the faint outline of a British airfield appears. Home. Relief pulses through him, yet he remains focused, lowering the Mustang with meticulous care, engines whispering, almost unnoticed above the wind. Touchdown is gentle, tires kiss the tarmac, mechanics rush forward shouting. Bracknell barely hears them. He removes his oxygen mask. Cold air fills his lungs. For a moment, all that exists is survival. Then, slowly, awareness returns. The Ruhr burns behind him. The Me-262 is down, but its shadow lingers. The silent hunt is over, but its echo will remain forever. The clouds close in around Bracknell like a cathedral of grey. The Mustang slips through them with ghostly precision, wings cutting silently through the frozen air. Every vibration of the airframe, every whisper of wind over metal, is amplified in the high-altitude stratosphere. The cockpit is cold. His fingers numb inside thick gloves, yet every control input is deliberate, exact, as if the plane is an extension of his own body. Below, the Ruhr stretches like a war-torn tapestry. Factory skeletons jut upward, their broken chimneys smoking. Railway yards are tangled and twisted, streets splintered and cracked. Fires flare, then fade, casting long shadows across the devastated landscape. From here, the destruction is vast, almost unreal. Yet Bracknell's focus is elsewhere. He doesn't see the ruins. He doesn't see the smoke. His attention is locked on a single point of movement in the sky ahead, the Me-262. The jet hums through the air, its twin engines a soft, lethal growl beneath the clouds. To any other pilot, it would be an impossible target, a streak of death in motion. But Bracknell knows the secrets of silence. He lets the Mustang glide, carefully trimming the aircraft to match the jet's speed, feathering the controls. The throttle remains killed, the engine muted, the sound of the Mustang lost in the wind and cloud. Every second feels like minutes. Every heartbeat, a drum in his ears. He is not just flying, he is hunting. He calculates the jet's trajectory with obsessive precision, adjusting altitude in fractions of a foot, sliding slightly left, then right, testing the currents of air like a fisherman feeling for a bite. The radar officer aboard the Me-262 scans mechanically, unaware of the shadow closing behind him. Bracknell studies the officer's movements, every flick of the hand, every adjustment of the dials, anticipating the jet's next maneuver. He glides closer, closer, closer. The Mustang moves with terrifying grace, threading through invisible currents of air, hugging the tail of the Me-262 without revealing its presence. The wind howls past, carrying the faint scent of smoke and industry, and Bracknell lets it mask him further. One misstep and the jet will detect him. One stray movement and death waits. The physical strain is intense. His body trembles from the cold, his muscles stiff from tension, yet his mind is sharper than ever. He calculates angles, velocities, escape routes in a continuous loop. He anticipates the radar officer's reaction, imagining what the man would do if he were aware of the Mustang trailing him. And then he reminds himself, the radar officer is not aware. He has no idea. He is a ghost, a shadow moving in concert with the wind. Below, the ruined valley seems to hold its breath. The factories, the rivers, the fires, they are witnesses to an impossible hunt, yet they cannot intervene. Bracknell feels the pulse of the air around him, the rhythm of the Mustang responding instantly to the tiniest input. Every microadjustment is survival. Every tilt, every subtle bank, Every shift of the rudder keeps him invisible. The Me-262 banks slightly. Bracknell reacts instantly, compensating for the slight tilt. His eyes are locked on the jet, noting the flare of exhaust, the shift in shadow along the fuselage, the radar operator leaning forward in curiosity. The predator instinct kicks in. He has trained for this, yet the thrill of anticipation makes the cockpit almost unbearably tense. He can feel the Mustang vibrating beneath him, alive with energy, as if sensing the hunt itself. Seconds stretch. A gust of wind rocks the Mustang, and he compensates, minute adjustments keeping him aligned. The jet's exhaust winks against the clouds, illuminating the subtle lines of the fuselage. One miscalculation, and the Mustang could overshoot, reveal itself, and be torn apart in an instant. But Bracknell's hands are steady, his breathing controlled, his mind razor-focused. The distance closes, mere yards now separate hunter from prey. The radar officer glances again at instruments, oblivious. Bracknell's heartbeat is slow, deliberate, yet every nerve is alive. He watches the faint gleam of metal, the subtle tilt of wings, the flow of air around the fuselage. He imagines the path of tracers, the trajectory of bullets that have not yet left his guns. Time slows, he inches closer, one small twitch of the control stick, a fraction of a foot in altitude, and he is perfectly aligned. The Mustang feels as if it is coiling beneath him, ready to strike. Bracknell allows a small mental smile. He is exactly where he needs to be. Then comes the microsecond of opportunity. The Me-262's side is exposed, vulnerable, perfect. Bracknell's finger moves to the trigger, his mind blocking all else, focusing only on alignment, velocity, and timing. He imagines the tracers igniting, the sparks erupting across the fuselage, the shudder of impact, and then, instinctively, he fires. Tracers leap, sparks bloom, the jet shudders violently. The radar officer jerks back, alarmed, eyes wide, instruments ignored. Bracknell eases the Mustang into a subtle bank, retreating into the clouds. Silence returns almost immediately. Only the wind, only the faint metallic tang of adrenaline in his mouth. For a heartbeat, he allows himself a thought. This is impossible. A piston-engine fighter, gliding silently, striking the fastest jet in the Luftwaffe inventory. Yet here he is, alive, invisible, untouchable. But the hunt is not over. Flak bursts from below, black clouds marking deadly trajectories through the dimming light. Other jets may still be nearby, patrolling, hunting. The Mustang drifts silently, eyes scanning, mind calculating escape, anticipating every shadow. And then he catches movement ahead, a flash of metal, a flicker of exhaust. Another jet, or a trick of light. Bracknell tenses, his muscles coil, his mind spins, calculating probabilities, escape vectors, maneuvers. Seconds stretch to eternity. Every moment could be the last. The Mustang glides on, ghost-like, merging with clouds, the ruined Ruhr receding below. Bracknell allows a single thought. He has done the impossible, but survival is not finished. The night is far from over, and the hunter must remain vigilant. The air above the Ruhr is a frozen void, grey and endless, the kind of sky that swallows sound and twists perception. Bracknell's Mustang drifts through it like a spectre, wings cutting a silent path through the stratosphere. Every adjustment is minuscule, fractions of an inch in altitude, slight shifts in rudder pressure, subtle banks of the ailerons, but each is amplified across the airframe, felt in bones and muscles. He doesn't dare breathe too heavily. The slightest distraction could be fatal. Ahead, the Me-262 slices through the clouds, an elegant, deadly streak of metal. Its engines hum, subtle yet constant, betraying nothing of the pilot's thoughts or intentions. The radar officer, a young man with sharp eyes and trembling hands, scans obsessively, tracking blips and reflections across his screens. He senses only the environment, the wind, the distant terrain, the mechanical pulse of his jet. He does not see the Mustang trailing silently behind him. Not a shadow. Not a hint. Bracknell's eyes narrow. He calculates distance, speed, wind currents, altitude, and the jet's probable maneuvers simultaneously. Every variable must align perfectly. One miscalculation and the opportunity vanishes, or worse, the Mustang becomes prey. He tilts slightly, letting the jet's own wake conceal him, merging into the grey around the exhaust. He glances at his instruments, but trusts his instincts more than the dials. The plane. after years of flying, has become an extension of his senses. He feels the wind, the lift, the subtle pull of gravity guiding him. Time stretches, seconds bleed into each other. The radar officer leans closer to his instruments, scanning for anomalies he cannot see. His hand hovers over the controls, fingers twitching involuntarily. He has trained for threats like this, learned the patterns of Allied fighters, yet nothing on his radar hints at the silent hunter. Bracknell moves, almost imperceptibly, sliding a few feet closer. The distance between hunter and prey narrows with agonizing slowness. Below, the Ruhr remains a wasteland of industry and war. Factories and railway yards are broken, rivers blackened, smoke rising in lazy spirals. From this height, the destruction is immense, a reminder of humanity's capacity for devastation. But for Bracknell, it is irrelevant. His focus is the jet ahead, every line, curve, and shadow mapped in his mind. He adjusts the Mustang again, banking slightly to the left to compensate for a gust of wind, then right as the jet tilts. The radar officer frowns at a flicker on the screen. He senses a movement that shouldn't be there, but dismisses it. Bracknell smiles faintly beneath his oxygen mask. He is perfectly aligned now, every calculation precise. The Mustang hums beneath him, coiling like a spring, ready to release its force. Breathing is deliberate. He times each exhale with the plane's movements. His heart pounds, but his body remains controlled. Every nerve is alert, every sense stretched taut. The cockpit, small and frozen, has become a theater of anticipation. He can feel the plane responding to his slightest touch, as if it knows what is coming. Ahead, the Mi-262 makes a slight correction, banking right, exposing a subtle line of vulnerability. Bracknell freezes the Mustang's glide in perfect alignment, adjusting just enough to compensate for the jet's movement. He watches the radar officer carefully, noting each glance, each finger twitch. The officer leans back, unaware, caught in a mechanical rhythm that will soon be shattered. The Mustang drifts closer, closer, mere yards separate them now. The wind rushes past, carrying the faint smell of smoke and oil from below. Bracknell's mind races faster than the aircraft, calculating angles, bullet trajectories, potential evasions. He imagines the tracers leaving his wings, arcing perfectly across the fuselage. The thrill of the hunt courses through him. This is not a dogfight. This is precision, patience, nerve. A sudden puff of air rocks the Mustang, a micro-turbulence caused by the jet ahead. Bracknell compensates instantly, minute adjustments keeping him invisible. He feels the Mustang vibrate beneath him, alive with tension. One wrong move, and he could overshoot, revealing himself to the radar officer's sharp eyes. But his instincts are flawless. Years of flying, countless battles, culminate in this moment. Seconds feel like hours. Bracknell inches closer. The Mi-262 tilts again, engines flaring slightly in the dying sun. The radar officer squints, sensing, but not seeing, anomalies. He leans forward, hand hovering over a button that would scramble defenses if only he knew. Bracknell's finger brushes the trigger. Every calculation, every moment of patience, leads to this microsecond. He imagines the tracers igniting, the jet shuddering, sparks erupting along the fuselage, and then, instinctively, he fires. Sparks bloom. The Mi-262 shudders violently, smoke curling from the wing roots. The radar officer jerks back, eyes widening, instruments ignored in panic. Bracknell eases the Mustang back into the glide, merging with the clouds, silent once more. The strike is over in heartbeats, yet the tension remains. Below, the Ruhr burns quietly, indifferent to the drama above. Factories flare, fires sputter, smoke drifts into the air. Soldiers and engineers, if any remain, cannot see the shadow of the Mustang retreating into grey. For Bracknell, the hunt is not over. Flak bursts from below, black clouds marking deadly trajectories. Other jets may circle, waiting for a misstep. The Mustang drifts, silent and unseen, weaving through clouds and shadow. Bracknell's pulse remains steady, yet alert. He glances at the distant horizon, calculating next moves, assessing threats, watching for any glimmer of metal that might signal another jet. The air holds its breath, the sky tense with anticipation. And in that frozen moment, he realizes the magnitude of what he has done. A piston-engine fighter, gliding silently, has struck the fastest jet in the Luftwaffe. invisible, untouchable, perfect. Yet survival is still uncertain. The night is far from over, and the hunter must remain vigilant. The Mustang hovers like a shadow, poised a mere heartbeat from the Me-262. The wind howls past, carrying the faint scent of burnt oil from the factories below, the cold biting through gloves and mask. Bracknell's finger rests on the trigger, every muscle taut, every sense honed. The jet ahead tilts slightly, exposing its side. A perfect line, a perfect shot. He breathes in slowly, counting the seconds in micro-moments. The Mustang responds beneath him, coiling like a predator ready to spring. The radar officer, young and tense, leans forward over the dials, unaware. His eyes flicker across the instruments, but he sees nothing. A shadow in the sky has become reality. Bracknell's mind is sharper than ever, calculating trajectory, speed, air currents, bullet drop. He imagines traces arcing, igniting the jet's metal skin. Then, instinctively, he fires. Traces leap from the Mustang's wings like bolts of fire, slicing across the sky with a silent ferocity. Sparks bloom along the Me-262's fuselage, bright against the grey clouds, illuminating the precision of the strike. The radar officer jerks backward, eyes wide, instruments forgotten. Alarms might have sounded, but there is no time. The Mustang already begins to ease back, coiling into the clouds, vanishing. The Me-262 shudders violently, smoke curling from its engines and wing roots. Sparks spray in arcs, catching the light from the frozen sun. Bracknell feels the Mustang vibrate beneath him, the airframe responding to the energy released. His own body hums with adrenaline, every nerve alive, yet he keeps control. The thrill of the impossible, of being unseen and lethal, courses through him. Below, the Ruhr burns on, fires flickering and fading like dying stars. Soldiers, engineers, and anyone left alive in the shattered valley are oblivious to the encounter above. It is a ballet of death, perfectly timed, unseen, silent. Bracknell eases the Mustang further into the glide. The clouds swallow him like a curtain, and the roar of the Me-262's engines fades behind him. Silence returns, almost holy, broken only by the rush of wind over the fuselage. His pulse begins to slow, but every sense remains heightened. He knows that survival is only just beginning. Flak bursts from below, black clouds punctuating the dimming sky, a reminder that the air above the Ruhr is far from safe. Other jets may circle nearby, looking for the lone Mustang foolish enough to strike so boldly. Bracknell keeps his glide precise, eyes scanning, instruments checked almost unconsciously. Every shadow could conceal death. Every cloud could hide a hunter. Minutes or maybe hours pass in tense silence. Bracknell allows a fleeting thought. He has done the impossible. A piston-engine fighter has struck and disabled the fastest jet in the Luftwaffe's arsenal. Invisible, untouchable, perfect. Yet caution returns immediately. The Mustang drifts northward, gliding silently toward Allied airspace. Below, the ruined landscape stretches on factories, rivers, rail yards, all scorched and silent witnesses. Smoke rises from distant fires, mingling with the clouds, blending into gray. He adjusts the controls meticulously, letting the Mustang thread through turbulence, drift around puffs of flak, and remain unseen. And then a brief glimmer catches his eye. Another flash of metal in the distance, another jet climbing fast, engines roaring, oblivious to the Me-262 now crippled behind him. Bracknell tenses instinctively. He calculates, maneuvers, drifts, ready to disappear at a moment's notice. Seconds stretch, tension coiling in every fiber of his being. The Mustang merges with clouds, gone, silent, invisible. The Ruhr continues to burn beneath him, indifferent to the impossible hunt that has just unfolded above it. Bracknell allows himself a single, slow breath. He has survived. He has struck the impossible. Yet even in that quiet, unease lingers. The radar officer, what did he report? Will others come hunting tonight? And the sky, cold and merciless, reminds him, in war nothing ends cleanly. The echo of the hunt lingers, whispering that the next threat could appear at any moment. Bracknell presses on, Mustang gliding silently through the stratosphere, the frozen sun fading behind clouds. The hunt may be over, but survival is only beginning. The Mustang slips into the clouds like a shadow dissolving in gray. Bracknell feels the aircraft respond beneath him, alive and alert. Every vibration, every shift in the airframe tells him where turbulence lies, where danger waits. The Ruhr spreads below, a labyrinth of smoke and ruins, a city of death left by months of bombing. Fires flicker, rivers gleam black, and the skeletal remains of factories jut from the earth like broken teeth. Flak bursts from below, black puffs marking lethal trajectories. Bracknell eases the Mustang slightly left, then right, letting gravity and wind carry him silently around the deadly explosions. He watches, calculating, predicting, always alert. Other jets may be hunting. The sky is no longer empty, every cloud could conceal a predator, yet the Mustang moves with ghostly precision, coiling around invisible threats, the wind hiding its passage. Hours or maybe minutes pass in tense silence. His hands ache, fingers stiff in gloves, yet they remain steady. Every control input is minute but deliberate, each micro-adjustment vital. Breathing is shallow, controlled. The cockpit, cold and unyielding, has become a chamber of meditation in motion. He allows himself a fleeting thought of home, green fields, rain on freshly plowed soil, the warmth of a hearth. But the memory sharpens his focus. The war is still alive above and below. Through a break in the clouds, the faint outline of Allied lines appears. Relief washes over him, but caution remains. He begins the careful descent, threading the Mustang through turbulence, keeping low and invisible. The engines whisper, nearly drowned in the wind, as the aircraft drifts over shattered towns, rivers glinting, fires burning, smoke curling into the sky. Every second is a negotiation with death. Every movement, a silent conversation between pilot and machine. The ruined landscape recedes. He recognizes distant airfields, hangars, and runways. The familiar geometry of home, the British airbase, provides a fragile sense of comfort. Bracknell lowers the Mustang carefully, controlling descent to avoid detection. The adrenaline of the hunt slowly ebbs, replaced by the acute awareness that survival is never guaranteed. One misstep, one glance from enemy observers, and the fragile piece could vanish. Touchdown is gentle, almost surreal. The Mustang kisses the tarmac, shivering as it decelerates. Mechanics rush forward, shouting questions and congratulations. Bracknell barely hears them, removed from the noise. He removes his oxygen mask, taking a deep, cold breath. For a moment, the world narrows to one fact. He has survived, unseen, untouchable, victorious. Yet even on the ground, the echo of the hunt lingers. The Ruhr still smolders behind him, the Me-262 down, but its shadow remaining in memory. Bracknell wonders, did the radar officer report the attack? Would others come searching tonight? War is never truly over, not for him, not for anyone who has glimpsed its raw, silent cruelty. He climbs out of the cockpit, legs stiff and trembling. The air smells of fuel and oil, cold and metallic. Around him the world moves normally, mechanics scurry, officers confer, the base hums with routine. But Bracknell feels the weight of the night above the Ruhr, the impossible glide, the silence in which he struck. The Mustang, silent sentinel, sits behind him, wings spread like a predator at rest. For a moment he allows himself to feel it, pride, relief, awe, but quickly focus returns. War is still in the air. Tonight may be over, but the next threat could appear without warning. He reflects on the mechanics of what he achieved, the patience, the nerve, the timing. A piston-engine fighter had struck the fastest jet in the Luftwaffe, gliding in silence, vanishing into the clouds. Invisible, perfect. As dusk fades to night, Bracknell walks along the tarmac, the Mustang behind him, shadowed in darkness. Smoke from distant factories curls toward the sky, black against the faint glimmer of stars. He knows that history will remember battles, dates, victories, but few will ever see or understand the silent hunt above the Ruhr, the patient calculation, the courage it took to glide unseen behind a predator and strike. In the quiet, he feels the echo of the sky, the rush of wind, the hiss of air over aluminum, the thrill of being unseen, untouchable. The war below continues, yet above, in that frozen stratosphere, he had carved a moment of perfection. The night holds its breath, carrying the secret of a hunter who vanished into silence. Bracknell pauses, glancing toward the glowing horizon. Another day, another mission will come. But for now, he allows the memory to settle, a ghost in the clouds, a shadow across history, the pilot who cut his engine and struck without sound. The Mustang sits silent, engines cooled, wings poised. A monument to a fleeting perfection. The Ruhr smolders behind him, indifferent. But for one man, in one impossible moment, the sky belonged entirely to him. The wind whispers through the struts and rivets, a faint echo of the glide. And in that echo, the story remains, silent, deadly, unforgettable.